someone like me, right, who doesn't believe in all that bollocks, is going, I'll basically reduce my carbon footprint to zero for the rest of my life, pretty much, by going off grid. One time hit, shove solar all over my property. You never hear from me again. Nope, sir, that is illegal. How dare you? Are you a racist? What the? Where did that come from?
Boom, we are back. Took a little summer hiatus, but we are here with Pod 151, the 4B's Bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit, brought to you by none other than Mr. All-In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, also aka Daddy 2 Days, myself, aka Since My Sir Never Look, aka the Excellence of Execution, and Mrs. No Show, aka no show, but here on the show. What's going on?
I think I've barely looked at the price of Bitcoin. I think my feed on Twitter is just full of fucking shit about politics.
American politics. Oh, actually, and our British politics. Yeah, it's fucking nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah. Riots, two-tier Starmer. I've had to hide all the tags.
Don't go into it.
Yeah, I've had to hide all the tags to try and clean up my feed so I can actually read about the important stuff like Bitcoin and stake.
You have to be really careful of what you engage in because it's so easy. Like all you got to do is like say clown world or I don't care to one of those things, and then the algorithm will go, "Oh, you like that? You engage with it. Have more." I know. I was literally saying go away to that content, and it's like you just have to completely ignore it and just either mute people or block them if they're like too political, because it's just a waste of time, as we always said. Like it doesn't matter which side, they're all the fucking same. We know the trajectory it's going more and more to a police state, more and more authoritarian. Everyone's a racist if you don't follow the government agenda. Like once you know that, everything else is just noise, and you go, "Oh right, is it a different form of that? What? How have they wrapped it up this week?" Yeah.
But problem, a lot of the finance people who I follow, a lot of the fitness people which I follow, a lot of the Bitcoin people which I follow are American, and they started spewing all this politics. You kind of go, most of the time they're a good poster. You know, there's good stuff in there, and you don't really just want to block them because you'll never pick them up again.
Yeah. I hope it will be over and like fast forward 6 months. Hopefully, like it will be largely over, but obviously we know it won't necessarily be.
Well, it won't. It won't because I feel like this time there'll be more controversy over who wins, who doesn't win. Were the votes real? Were they not real? And so on. And because I think
soap opera, isn't it? It's so popular to like pretend that they have a say in. It's like a reality show. Like phone in to see if Sarah should match with Max or Jason. And instead, it's who do you want to be your leader? The racist who's going to start World War III, or this person who will save everything. And then, but if you watch a different show, the personalities are reversed, and you go, "Hold on, they're both racist, or they're both going to start World War III." But I'll call up anyway because I want to have my vote, and it's a reality show, isn't it? That it's just the fucking.
Well, I was going to say the one thing which I've picked up from it, which is relevant to this, is about Kamala and her policies. She said that she's going to give $25,000 grant to first home buyers, which when you actually look at the natural market, what does that do? It inflates the housing price market because one, they've got to print the money because they don't have the money. Two, it artificially props it up by 25 grand. So therefore you've pushed up the whole country's prices by 25 grand, not just, and so everyone's losing out on that. So literally the only one whose benefits are probably the estate agents, what be equivalent, what's it called, realtors?
Realtors,
Or the and anybody along the way, like obviously, it's the classic Keynesian economics. So, if anything,
anybody with assets,
ironically, it actually ends up hindering the first-time buyer because you think, oh no, we're giving them 25 grand towards their first purchase. You go, how can that be possibly hindering them? But it's like, well, the market will quickly correct, and the price of every home will go up by that amount, if not a little bit more, because That's what
You can
happens with
hide
things,
it.
right? People get excited, everyone rushes to the market, and things
They overbid as
overinflate
well.
before that. So what ends up happening is they will think they're buying. Let's say that you got a 100 grand house, right? It'll go straight to 120, 130, right? 135. Don't worry, you get 25k off. What's ended up happening there? Your 100 grand house has cost you 110. So actually, over the course of the period, it's an extra 10k plus all the interest. So you're probably down about 25k per 100k that you put down because they gave you 25k.
And then the second one was about price controls. I think she said to stop price gouging in supermarkets. But for anyone who's listening, oh yeah, food prices have gone up. It's like, wait, food prices haven't gone up. The value of your currency has gone down. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They said, you're against people having fair prices. It's like, well, if you look at the actual food margins for supermarkets, it's somewhere between 1% and 4%. It is not high, not high at all. So when you start trying to, so it does not happen because you've got all these big chains competing against each other. In the UK, it's Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, Aldi, Lidl, Iceland, and various
One of
others.
them tried price gouging and just went, oh, a pint of milk is double now, and a loaf of bread is this, and a pizza is that, and a steak is this.
Yep.
All that would happen, every single customer would move to another one.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if you actually look at the statements of Tesco who get accused of it, I want to say it's maybe close to 4%, but it's 4%, which in a business is a razor thin margin. So it's not high. So they started getting price controls. So price control, I read a fascinating book about this, how much I love about price controls and inflation. And every time which happens, fundamentally they go, oh yeah, bread's got to be capped at £1, but say all the raw ingredients plus cost, tax, etc., which takes up that bread to be whatever it is, and we go £1, you got to sell it. But I'll either stop selling it or they keep on selling it and we get driven into being bankrupt or rely upon subsidies from the government. And it's what happened with the energy companies in the UK. So we ended up with a big boom where the lid blew off and the government had to allow prices to actually increase naturally because they've been hiding inflation behind these price controls. And that's all Kamala's doing, is she's putting something to hide how much inflation's been done over the last 4 years. And a lot of people don't understand that. And it's quite humorous reading Twitter. Like you kind of going, you're against people, you're against price gouging. It's like, this isn't price gouging. It's something like 60% of dollars in existence have been printed in the last 4 years.
Yeah. But the problem is though, it's like the people that the majority of people listen to are telling them that's the reason. They're literally saying we need to stop price gouging. So to do that, we're going to do this. And everyone goes, oh my God, I've been wondering why my shopping bill has been so high. And they haven't researched it, they haven't looked into it in detail. And they look to their politicians that, the current sitting president, which I'm assuming is Kamala. I don't really know because Biden seems to be fucking in a home
He's
now.
still there, still there.
No, but it's just his double. He's dead. I swear he's dead.
You know what? It actually leads me on. Obviously, I've been away for a little bit, and then I was having some conversations with my brother-in-law, who's married to my sister, and he seems to be getting close to being a Bitcoiner. But so we had some long chats about money, various conspiracies. He was just fascinated by all of it. He seems to finally be open to it. He's been relatively dismissive up until now.
You're going to get him on the show?
No, but
that was a hard no.
he's not ready because
he's not ready. He's not there yet.
No, he's asking the right questions. But
what about we get him on every week and he can be like the I don't know, the Yang Toy Ying or whatever it's called, and we can just sit there going through all the stories and see what happens with him after a couple of months.
Yeah, no, the thing is though, the reason why I bring him up, he's not fighting back against it. He isn't like, nah, I don't believe you, don't believe you. It's just so much fucking information.
Yeah.
And he's a golf pro. No, you're not particularly, he's not in the investing world or the academic world in any shape or form. He went straight into doing sport, very good at it. He's now a golf pro, teach people how to play golf and plays down his local golf club, kind of living his own personal dream, right? Now he's got a family and he needs to provide for that. the reason, right at the end of the conversation, right? It's only probably 10, 15 minutes, this one conversation. We've got a load of young kids running around our feet. And he's getting dragged out by his little boy. And he just kind of, at the end of it, he's just kind of like, all I really want to know is how can I best support my lad? He's like, that's what I'm looking for. And I just like really sympathize with him at that point. Oh wow, like you don't come from a background which is, do you understand? Do you have a technical background? Not technical whatsoever. Did you have a understanding of money? No, I explained the history of money to him, but it's like the first time he'd ever heard it. So it's just like blows your mind, right? Do you have like any understanding of kind of geopolitics, the Keynesian economics, all these like factors that you need to basically build the building blocks that goes, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
understand the situation now. Bitcoin's my thing. And he's just like, where do I go? And he's talking to a financial advisor, and obviously they're telling him it's ISAs and pensions and all that stuff. And so that's what he's largely doing at the moment. And he's just going, I don't actually know what the fuck to do. All I want to do is try and uh, work my ass off, earn some money, and look after my family. I don't really care about all the nonsense. I don't care about Kamala or Biden or Trump or fucking Keir Starmer. It's all just fuck off, right? I don't care whether like 9/11 was an inside job. I don't care. I don't care about any of this, right? I just want to know how can I earn good money and support my family. And you go that, and unfortunately, that is the Bitcoin ethos. Like that's the only reason. That's the main reason why you end up kind of sticking around because you go, yeah, we're not here for like materialism and all that kind of stuff. We are just here to earn money that hopefully is good for generation to generation and genuinely we can pass down wealth and it doesn't erode and rot like fiat does. But again, it was just another little insight to going, oh, why don't we have 5 billion Bitcoiners right now? And you go, you know what? The majority of people out there are so time poor. They're working their asses off, trying to do the best thing, but they're getting bad advice, misdirection, propaganda from every direction. And when you throw Bitcoin at them, it just is like,
That's
what?
too much.
I'm getting pulled in every direction. I don't know what to do. And the safest thing for me to do is largely nothing or pay into the pension. I'll pay into my
Yeah.
pension and I'll just work and have a bit of a savings account and earn 4% because that's
Well,
what
we all know you have to
everyone else
put
did.
work into getting Bitcoin as well. It's not just a 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute conversation. There's hours upon hours of work to actually get it. So if your mind's already been blown by all of the other avenues that you could go down, and then you're being told, well, this is the life raft over here, but in order to get on the life raft, you have to put in some work to be gifted the ladder. Oh gosh, I can't do
Just
it.
getting them to understand that they're on the Titanic,
Yeah,
they need to get off on the life raft.
yeah,
That's 1,000 hours there.
yeah.
But it's getting up to them. It's like, oh yeah, my pension will do all right. And when you look at it, it's getting like 2% returns, and inflation's like more like 7, 8% every year. And you're kind of going, but they don't realize it. And they're like, why the fuck's why can't I afford steak anymore? You know, but I'm earning the same amount of money, or I'm earning a bit more than I was 5 years ago.
Hmm.
And it is an absolute clusterfuck, and it confuses you. And you are lost. Like I remember being there. I remember kind of going, I don't know what to do. I just need to save. I need to save, otherwise I'm going to be fucked. I'm going to be working
And
for my
by the
whole
way,
life and die.
what was your default, right? Your default was to listen to your parents, right? Either Vanguard, either pension, all that stuff, because it worked for them. And that's
Do you
largely
know? Do you
what
know what they're coming round to my way of thinking when they're like, "Oh, pension, blah blah blah, 40%." I'm like, Keir Starmer wants to cut that, and he wants to, and he also wants to add taxes on the other end. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it's not very safe, is it? And they're like, no. I'm like, I'm going to put more money into ISAs than I am into a pension, so at least I can withdraw them.
yeah. But yeah, fun times, eh? It seems like there's never been a more propaganda filled time. It really seems to have gone into overdrive. that it feels like the governments have really mastered social media at this point, and they aren't half battering us from
Well, I was going to say
Correct.
the
I
EU.
definitely second that. They've mastered it finally, because before it was uncharted territory. And it wasn't until Obama kind of, trickled a little bit of seasoning on there to say, oh, yeah, this is how I got votes and this is how I won the election. And then after that, oh, okay, what's that thing over there? That kind of worked. And then they're all over it
When
now.
have you watched The Boys?
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it. I was about to talk about it earlier on when you were talking about this whole, wokeism, but again, I didn't want to take us off piece, but it is pretty much exactly like that.
Because like season 4 now, they literally
Yeah,
talk through the exact strategy of, because they're literally doing like two political parties at the moment, haven't they? The super
correct.
split and all that stuff. You've got the Republicans and Democrats. And obviously of course the Republicans are the bad guys, right? But they talk through, like, as the Republicans, they make them the bad guys. So they talk through their social media strategy, which is just we have huge troll farms of
Hmm.
people, and we'll just do something, and then if we'll just fire loads of hate at them, we'll start throwing slander, we'll see what sticks, double down on those hashtags. And it's just they have a whole social media strategy basically. They go, with this 10,000 people of troll farms, we can influence the whole of America and make them think what we want to think. And you go, if that is true, that is
Yeah,
literally true. Because how many
yeah,
tweets do you read on a reply, right? You probably read the first 10, and then you probably, if that. And if you've got troll farms that are going to write really disgusting shit or really positive shit on certain tweets, and then they all get smashed likes within seconds and have tens of thousands of likes, they will automatically be the first 10. So you are being told what to think. Like you'll see a thing and go, what should my reaction be to that? And you'll see the first 10 replies, and they'll either be hugely positive or hugely negative. And
yeah.
it's kind of crazy because they've
I say the
beat.
rumor on Reddit is that there's not many users left actually on Reddit. It's
Mm.
basically just a load of bots.
Oh man, that's been co-opted for a while. Yeah, it's you can't literally. I during that the whole pandemic and the lockdown era, I was getting banned from Reddits that I wasn't even a member of, just because I was a member of certain Reddits,
I
certain
read
subreddits.
on this morning that someone commented on a Joe Rogan one and he got a notification that he'd been banned from another Reddit which he didn't
Yeah,
frequent.
that's what happened to me. Yeah, that's what happened to me. You comment on Joe Rogan or something, or in like Too Fair, like sometimes I was talking about anti-lockdown stuff, and I'd randomly get banned from like the subreddit of our science. I'm like, what the hell? Like that's one of the biggest subreddits on Reddit, right? It's got 10 million freaking subscribers or something. Never actually subscribed to it, but just because I commented in a different subreddit, they preemptively banned me from ever seeing an R Science um, post. And eventually, obviously, I had my whole account banned, and now I'm not allowed an account. I've signed up numerous times. They immediately ban me again.
Oh, are you completely banned now?
Yeah, I don't have a Reddit account anymore. It's
Well, that's
totally
probably
gone.
from other things which you post.
Yeah. I think
should we
like
actually talk about? Should we actually talk about the topics? We're going to completely into tangent and not even touch the topic yet.
yeah, let's do it. Story number
So
one.
I think it's all quite bullish this week, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
I was going to say Peter Thiel, first one. It's on Joe Rogan. Is that a really recent episode? Because I haven't seen that myself.
Yeah. It's last couple of weeks.
I'll have to watch it. But what the part which I picked out from this, actually, you're going to play the clip because it's about 40 seconds.
Yep.
Tech stagnation is that when something does happen, we don't even know how to process it. So, I think Bitcoin was a big invention. We can debate whether it was good or bad, but it was a pretty big deal. And it was systematically underestimated for at least, the first 10, 11 years. You could trade it. It went up smoothly for 10, 11 years. It didn't get repriced all at once because we're in a world where nothing big ever happens. And so we have no way of processing it when something pretty big happens. The internet was pretty big in 99. Bitcoin was moderately big. The internet was really big. Bitcoin was moderately big. And I'd say passing the Turing test is really big. It's on the same scale as the internet.
But Peter Thiel says Bitcoin is understated for 10 to 11 years. So from when it was first made, I was like, it's still understated. Like you just described with your brother-in-law, it is still understated. Most people have heard of it, but they still don't really know what it is. They don't know it's a raft. They don't understand the principles. They don't understand why. And the ones who kind of like get an inkling in, because I think we touched this on the last storage we've got, is that different level. They're going, oh, Bitcoin isn't the life raft against inflation. These other coins perform better. And so I still think we're in that massively understated discovery stage. Is my take on this, of what Peter Thiel said.
What do you think, Mr. No Show?
Don't know. I think, no, well, I don't, because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm listening to what we were talking about before. And I have this thing in the back of my head, like, in my lifetime, will it ever be not understated? Because it takes so long to get, because it takes so long to understand. Like, I'm because of all the stuff you were talking about before, will the Joe public ever actually get it? I don't think they will. They're not going to sit down like the masses.
You got to remember, we've had 50 years of propaganda that it's okay to trust government issued paper.
But in those 50 years, how many people have learned about what money is? You know, they just accept whatever that currency is in that situation.
This is the point, but you've had the propaganda and it's really not working, and they're blaming each other, they're blaming governments, they're blaming greedy supermarkets. It's only going to be so long that the lie can last, because people have been picking it apart the last few years, going, where's my fucking money? And a lot of people are waking up, but they haven't worked out the solution. So I think we are edging, and I think it is going to happen during our lifetime. It's just, is it going to be 2 years when if everything blows up and they continue what they're doing, or is it going to be 30 years?
I don't mean that. I mean it's going to be like a top-down thing. So like it will get to the point where you have the maybe governments of more smaller countries in this debt trying to find ways out, more El Salvadors, and then it will become conflated onto the public in that way, and then they'll have to understand it and they'll have to learn about it. Or companies, you know, I don't think it's going to be a bottom-up revolution.
Well, no, because you're saying the smaller countries, it's bottom-up. It's not starting with the US. It's starting with like probably Somalia and wherever else where they're absolutely screwed. Like El Salvador, where they knew they were screwed, and they need to make some changes.
But if you were to go to El Salvador now and you were to survey the population and get them to try and articulate Bitcoin to you, like would it be as a percentage much better than where we are with our population?
I think it'd be better, because I think there's probably a lot more information, but I still don't think it's anywhere near perfect, because I don't think they're really using it. It's just really, it's a tool for them to get out of the hole which they've been put into over the last so many years.
I think the percentage of people that will get to a position where they understand it and they take the right, by the time people are using Bitcoin, the majority, it will be too late for most of them. That's my fear with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think
AI will increase it. So, and also the current standing of where people are as well. Yeah. So people are already thinking, I can't survive like this. And so I think more and more people will get to there. I think it's a good point to raise because it's so difficult. But I think people humans.
Why would AI? Why would AI increase adoption?
I think AI will increase adoption because of the fact that people will learn better and things will just naturally evolve. So technology will naturally evolve better. It won't obviously, touch wood, affect Bitcoin and the principles.
AI support, like kind of supporting what you're saying there, is in like the robo investing and like the online, because if AI learns what's the best performing asset to invest but then you're back into the whole situation of, well, are the people then using that AI when they're doing the investing, and AI
but what I'd say is AI can't predict it. Nothing can predict the assets because you're still on human will. So like, you know, anything you think about, any market which we've got is based upon thoughts and feelings within a day. there's nothing which is really that great because everyone got super excited about Tesla in 2020 because it was green and they all YOLO'd in way beyond its value, didn't they? So you kind of go, it's a lot of investing is about emotion. And I don't believe they'll ever be able to crack the financial markets with AI because they know basic formulas where we say this company's undervalued, but Joe Public will go, I don't care about that. I want to invest in this company because they're more green or they got all their AI.
You got to factor in the fact that though AI could look at all that, right? They could look at the reasons for why things happen before, because that's essentially what you do as an investor, right? Don't you? You look at the fundamentals and the business of the actual physical company you're investing in, but then you then look at the macro environment and the sector they're in and the sentiments and what has driven previous peaks and troughs and all that kind of stuff. And then you then try and extrapolate it out and go, right, what do I think is going to happen in the future? Is this share price under or overvalued? And then you make
but
your
you
investment
think
decision.
about all the investors.
But the thing is, AI could do that on every stock on the market and look at every single piece of data, every single social media post in seconds, and then go, these are the 5 stocks that are going up this year.
Yeah.
I
I
can
suppose
almost
you could glean me
guarantee that it's going to be
information.
more accurate than any human being.
So I was going to
Also,
say the majority of investors are a crock of shit, as we know.
but also, how many investors are investing in that way where they're doing that research? If you're talking about retail investment, they go into a fund which is doing it for you.
Correct.
They're not doing
Yeah.
that research anyway, you know. So
Or
the,
going up a tip from the office and going, oh, this company's going up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Just
like
think when we
I like this company, or I like this. The CEO's nice. I'll shove 500 quid in there. Then
yeah, just
they
think
haven't looked at the balance sheet.
10 years ago, we actually did the hard yards ourselves by going away, reading the annual reports and doing that. With AI, we would have potentially still come up with the same outcomes of the stocks that we picked, but a lot quicker.
Man, it would have taken, instead of us divvied up a load of things, didn't we? We all went,
Correct.
probably spent 10 hours each. We could
Yeah.
do that entire thing in half an hour.
yeah.
You just bang it into ChatGPT and go, what do you think of the board of this company? This
Give
is
me
like
the
a
summary of
10-year
the annual report.
What's the revenue and profit margin been in the last 5 years of company X?
Yeah.
Okay, now using our algorithm, like score these things and give me a score at the end. Once you've like trained ChatGPT to do that once in one company, you just go, great. Do that again for these 7 companies. Click, and it'll just like that took us, probably 100 hours.
Correct.
Ended up being pretty accurate, but there's probably loads of mistakes in there. ChatGPT would probably get it near perfect first time. But the problem is that the problem with this AI investing now is that once everybody has that tool, suddenly now that's just table stakes because everyone has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you need to find a differentiator over and above that. And by the way, I wanted to come back to the point around Bitcoin adoption, and I think ultimately the sad case is that there's only probably going to be 5 or 10% of people that choose Bitcoin. The other 90 to 95% are going to be forced because fiat goes to 0.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that's what we're kind of trying to. And I think when you look back over the history of money, you look at rhinestones, you look at agri beads, you look at silver, bronze, ultimately gold. People that believed in those currencies, the majority of people that used that as currency held it until it went to 0. And the day it was totally worthless and they couldn't buy anything in the shop and they went, we don't accept that anymore. We only accept this. That's the day they switched. So they couldn't have switched it a worse time, right? All the value of their money had literally melted away to 0. And then they're like, well, I don't have any of that money. Well, guess what? You can go work for him and he pays in that.
Yeah.
You go, oh, well, I'm starting from 0 again. What about my life savings? It's, well, you've got a load of rhinestones, mate. Value is 0 now. It's just a big rock.
A share save scheme.
And because I think ultimately, the analogy of the Titanic sinking, it's not Bitcoin sinking the Titanic. The Titanic has already hit its iceberg and is sinking, right? We're just going, if you want to jump off, you can. And fundamentally, the majority of people on that ship are going, it's not sinking.
Yeah.
It's just a bit rocky.
It's unsinkable.
Well,
Unsinkable.
and then the staff or the captain of the Titanic is going, the Bitcoin raft, it's sinking us.
Yeah.
Or only terrorists use that life raft.
Yeah.
That's the point that I'm making, though, and I'm saying that's why I think it will remain understated for a good portion of our lifetime, because
Yeah,
of that 5 to 10% is.
But you kind of think,
well, the deciding factor there, right? The deciding factor there is not whether Bitcoin can attract the people, it's whether fiat can survive.
Yeah.
Because fiat could quite easily, like, these things tend to happen slowly, then all at once. So it feels like we're quite close to the precipice of it just going nuts, right? We've all seen the charts where inflation was going relatively steady from like pretty much World War One up to like 1971, and then it starts to take a bit of a peak, and then in the last since like 2020 and the pandemic times, it just goes straight up. That is the classic sign of a break, because you can't almost go much more vertical than what we are right now. So another couple of years of that, it's done.
Yeah.
But
the belief system.
So what you're saying is it could potentially be the time of the ship.
Let's move on to a nice little chart. So we've got the next story is 75% of Bitcoin have not moved in the past 6 months, which is how good is that roughly? It's obviously the trend is definitely up. And yeah,
this is one of the biggest criticisms of Bitcoin is like everyone just hodls. There's no activity with it. What's the point in a currency if everyone just saves it?
Yeah. It's like, well, bro, this is early stage of a currency. So why would you? Obviously, I spend Bitcoin regularly because
the thing is, people forget that it's not just obviously, yes, a currency, but it's a finite asset. There will be no more. And it goes back to, again, the previous topic and story. You've got to run multiple mental models when talking about Bitcoin, and it's hard for people to be able to do so. And that's why they don't get it. Yes, it's a currency, but there's only a limited supply of this currency. And it's not like your other currencies, and therefore you can't compare it to what you already know, which goes back to our point. You need to put in the hours to really get Bitcoin.
We're also in the stage where you need to gather. We're getting ready for that sinkage. And at that point, then it's going to be by your, what you always call it, your citadel, your water source, your farm, your flock of sheep.
And we'll all look back and think, we don't have enough. We could have got more. We could have been more bullish.
Man, could have sold money tends to evolve every 500 years. Fiat has been around for about 500 years. So we're in the first 15 of the next form of money. And people are surprised that the majority of people are holding it. Dude, this money is good for the next 490 years. So, and your fiat money is about to go to zero. It is right on the precipice of going to literal zero. So yeah, guess what? There's a shit ton of people that are continuing to earn fiat, spending some for their daily expenses, and then DCAing into Bitcoin with the rest, and freaking just stacking it. And yeah, of course, and it's great to see that 75% of people are largely in that mindset. The other 25%, I'm assuming, maybe there's probably a few percent in there like me that have to move Bitcoin and sell it because I barely have any fiat, so I need to sell Bitcoin just to fund my lifestyle. But then there'll probably be a load of traders and stuff in there, and new people just, because obviously this also represents the new Bitcoin that's just being mined and then gets sent around. So you're always going to have at least 10% of the money probably is flowing in some shape or form, because that's just DCA stacking. But yeah, it's kind of nuts to see it though, isn't it? Because you can just see, like, when once you become a Bitcoiner, the majority of people aren't trading it. They're not looking for short-term gains. They're going to buy it, hold it, and they're going to sit on that for as long as they fucking can.
Yeah. If it's digital gold or the best savings account in the world, you don't use it for spending if you don't have to. That's the whole point,
Mm.
Yeah, you
And
stumble
it's
across,
bullish, isn't it? It's really
like
bullish.
it's literally it's the equivalent, right, of being in the gold mines right in those early years, and the majority of people don't even know what gold is, and you're there just picking out the ground, going, it's quite hard to dig this stuff, and I have to dig around quite a bit to find a nugget, but there's quite a lot of it here.
Yeah.
And we're just here going,
Yeah.
is it literally this easy? You're like, oh yeah, this will be worth like $1 million one day. You're like, but it's worth like $1,000 now. And you go, yeah, but wait. You're like, really? Maybe I should dig a few more then. And we've just been digging them out. And you're like, one day. And then obviously for the gold guys, it happened. And like largely for Bitcoin is it's gone up significantly, but it's not up to the millions of dollars per ounce and stuff of gold. But Jesus, we're like a lot of people are bearish on Bitcoin at the moment if you're not in Bitcoin, and we're still in and around 50K a coin. Like that is an insane price for Bitcoin still, and most people are bored and just going, "This is Bitcoin's dead." And you're like, dude, if Bitcoin was less than $1,000, I would go, you know what, maybe this is not working. But at 50K, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is like an insane price for Bitcoin. But still the potential gains are still huge as well. It's like you literally got the best of both. Like if you're holding, you're doing well, and if but the future potential is great. And for people to look at it and go, oh, Bitcoin looks like it's a little bit stale, a little bit dead, you go, you've obviously only been looking at the price of Bitcoin for the last like 12 months, because if you go back 4 years, we were down at 10K. We're 5x that. And you're saying we're down? How can we? But clearly, like I described, most people don't track the price. They just track the latest movement, and you go, oh, the last biggest movement in Bitcoin was 20% down. So that's what they know. They don't even know the fact it recovered that a month later.
No.
They're like, that didn't get reported.
It's the classic though, because when that happened, that's when the people message and they're like, "Oh, there you go, it's back down again." And it's like, the last time I messaged you about this, it was at 20K. So even if you'd have bought it at 20K, you would still be double.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's the interest. It's funny. Like I said, that person said to me, "Oh, Bitcoin's down." I was like, "I'm still up." It's not like I'm suddenly in debt with it. I still hold the same amount of Bitcoin, and in terms of translating it to fiat, I'm in the black. You know, and that's what am I now? 4 years in.
Yeah. One of the arguments I was actually using on holiday, it was like, oh yeah, didn't Bitcoin drop by 20% last week? I was like, yeah. Your fiat dropped by 20% last year. You know what's going to happen this year? Another 20. You know what's happening next year? Another 20. And you think Bitcoin dipping once 20% and then regaining that. And obviously we're comparing this against fiat anyway. Like Bitcoin didn't dip at all. Like one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million of them. Compare it against these volatile fiat assets and then trying to go, oh, why is Bitcoin not stable? It's like, well, it's going against straight away. You're denominating an asset that is stable against an asset that is 20% down every year and is down 99.7% since it existed. So, of course, it's going to be volatile comparing it against the pound or the dollar, because they're volatile as fuck, like straight down.
Should we talk? Should we go on to the story of the worst halving ever?
Go on then, yeah.
So I've seen this, and I'm struggling to actually even bloody see it because we're only right at the start. So I think, do you want to load up the page?
Yeah, I'll share it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I find this really hard to actually see myself when I first looked at it on my phone. And you kind of go, worst halving ever. And you kind of looking, oh yeah, fairly similar patterns. But you look, how many days are we actually into the halving? We are what looks to be about 50-ish. Is that right?
Was it around April time, wasn't it? So
April time, so a bit longer than
A
that.
bit longer. So say we say 100.
Yeah.
You kind of go,
4 months.
there's 1,460 days within a halving. So you can see how the spread is. And we are 100 days in. So obviously on the 2016 one, it was flying. But the others, it's not really that much different, is it?
Yeah, because well, technically, like it is the worst halving ever. because that little line now is below the red one, which was the previous.
Mm.
So the little orange line, and so it's obviously a joke, but Bitcoin has never been performing this poorly in a halving. So it's technically the worst halving ever. But if you have a look to the right of this chart, it could well get a lot better, right? It might still be the worst halving ever, but if it goes anywhere near these kind of price swings over the next year, then it might be the worst halving ever, but you're probably still going to 10, 15x your money.
Yeah, it's probably going to sit below the turquoise line looking at the patterns, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's because obviously like the bigger the asset gets, the harder it is to have those astronomical returns.
Yeah.
So I think like
You're
the
gonna
first
need a big piece of adoption in order. I mean, we have admittedly got the ETFs, which will cause some of the increase. But
Are you still talking about Bitcoin or the share save scheme again? I'm just getting confused. Sorry.
oh.
I can't believe you raised that.
Well, you're gonna have your fiat holdings more.
like a battered wife, and he just keeps going back for more.
Yeah.
This time it's different. He promised me he wouldn't hit me this time. They won't dilate the shoes. They won't dilute the shares again. They promised me, Daddy. Okay, go back. Comes back with a black eye. Fucking told you.
Right.
Touch
Should we
me
go
here,
talk?
here, and
You
here.
segue to the ETFs, and
The
then
butthole.
they poo-pooed you.
Yeah, let's talk about the ETFs. Shut you two up.
Hey, I always get the property bashing, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's time.
You're just jealous because you don't get the share saves anymore.
I get a higher wage.
Yeah.
With better technology.
Oh, then let's have a look at these ETFs then. Well, actually, what this is, like, actually, it's not the ETFs. It's basically the hedge funds. So the large hedge funds, 60% of them. So someone's pulled out the top 25 hedge funds here, and 60% of them have some form of Bitcoin holdings via the ETF.
I love how it's yes or not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Not
exactly.
no.
Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah.
Bridgewater is Ray Dalio, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is Bridgewater Associates. So that's interesting. So as an individual, he says he has a small proportion of Bitcoin. So he's capitulated, but the fund hasn't.
Mm.
But he did have a period where he seemed to turn into a bit of a government shill. So he could be under the vice of the American government. So you never know.
Yeah. Because the problem is, my take on this is really like, yeah, okay, this looks great, right? Oh yeah, the hedge funds are coming in. Clearly, that's probably where we've seen tens of billions flowing into these ETFs, and you've gone, where is this coming from? It clearly is the hedge funds. It clearly is the pension fund managers. But obviously, it doesn't really matter when it comes to Bitcoin. But you just go, why isn't the price moved?
Yeah.
And we're seeing like 60, if that is true, right, that 60% of these hedge funds, the big ones, are already in some shape or form. The only way to kind of like square like the circle of that kind of flow into Bitcoin is there must have been an absolute shit ton of selling to counteract it, or they're not really buying it. Like because they're in that screenshot, it says how many Bitcoin they have. And I got excited when I first saw that chart. I went, oh wow, this is the ETFs, and it's a verification how much Bitcoin they're holding. But it's not. It's just the hedge funds and how much money they have in the ETF. And therefore they've just done a quick calculation to go, oh, this means that many Bitcoin. Right. It's like, it doesn't mean that the ETF has actually bought the Bitcoin. They have that amount of money that should be that amount of Bitcoin. Have they brought it? Because I see that and go, 100K should be long gone at this point. We should just be flying through that.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot of people's money being funneled into Bitcoin, but not really funneled into Bitcoin. And they think they're investing in something, but it's just a paper asset that is not, it's like an IOU of like, yeah, it's Bitcoin. But it's not.
Are they not compelled to regulatory wise to buy it?
Well,
Because you're right.
You know where 80% of the funds are in the ETF, right? There's one name, BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Don't tell me that you can regulate those boys. All right. What was it? 571 ETFs submitted.
Yeah, 575. Yeah,
574 approved.
Yeah.
Like the best fucking record of all time.
Yeah.
These guys don't submit to the regulator, right? They just tell the regulator what to do, right? So forgive me for, even if the regulator comes out and goes, don't worry, we verified that BlackRock have this much Bitcoin. Forgive me for going bollocks. Show me the address, right? Until you actually allow me to verify it and go, okay, fine, BlackRock have that much Bitcoin. Show me the addresses and let me add up how much Bitcoin is contained in each address. Until they do that, I'm gonna call bullshit and go, I don't think they're buying any.
Or a fraction.
It's true.
Fractional reserving or whatever, Because
I don't think there's any requirement on, especially BlackRock, to back it. On the exchanges, the regulation got passed on the exchanges. They had to back their deposits 1-to-1 in the crypto that they had. So, like, say you had half a Bitcoin and some random shit coins contained on your Coinbase account. They're just displaying that as a display, right? Back in the day, before this regulation passed, that could actually be fractional reserve as well. They might not, if you add up all the Bitcoin on everyone's account, they might not have that much Bitcoin, right? So if everyone sold, they were kind of in the same situation as the banks. Regulation got passed that went, no, you have to back it 1-to-1, which, if anything, was actually a very good thing for our space, that the exchanges became much more reliable there. They could be less reckless than a fiat bank and go, oh yeah, we're just going to take our deposits, fractional reserve it, and loan out 90% of our deposits and just earn interest on it, and just pray to God that not more than 10% of people take out their Bitcoin at any one time. Because if they do, we don't have it. It's all freaking here, there, and everywhere in debt. And it will take us time to get it back, and it will cause a bank run, and then hence we, the
get found out.
The company fails. Yeah. It literally it all unwinds itself. It's a house of cards. So that type of fiat Ponzi scheme can't happen on the exchanges because they are regulated to the 1-to-1. But the ETFs don't have any such regulation on them.
It's like a cricket score that of England down under 575-1.
Yeah, you're right.
Like a bad day at the Ashes.
It's nuts. And unfortunately, 80% of the volumes go in there. Because why wouldn't you?
Why do you think it's not a bigger story? Because you're right, in terms of all of this money and all of this approval going in, even El Salvador buying, Bitcoin regularly, and Michael Saylor, his own personal wealth, and equally MicroStrategy in terms of the amount of Bitcoin that they hold. He's trying to go for the 1%. And I still don't feel like the needle's moved that much.
They probably have like over-the-counter prices on it. So does it impact the exchange price as much? I don't know.
But therefore, there should be a squeeze, shouldn't there?
But this is the problem. I think how many people take that Bitcoin off the exchanges, and it goes back to that, doesn't it? It's like, take your Bitcoin off the exchanges, physically don't let them have the Bitcoin to sell.
Yeah, being held in the Coinbase locker.
Yeah,
and wallet.
Yeah, I'd have to I'm just trying to find it now. I was trying to like point you to the podcast that there's a great video on BlackRock. I think it's episode 24 of this little podcast from the 4Bs. And that's why the media were quiet. Because guess what? Why would the media want to rat out BlackRock and their inability to back their Bitcoin 1-to-1 when they are also owned and told what to say by BlackRock?
Yeah.
There's a reason no
Yeah.
one knows, and like all the NPCs and just like the normies out there, they never even heard of BlackRock. They don't even. They are one of the biggest companies on the globe by a fucking country mile,
Yeah.
but no one's heard of
But-
them.
Yeah,
And they
the
own
value's really low down, but the amount of money which they so I think we Googled it, the value actually wasn't that high. But when you actually look at how many assets they hold, it's through the bloody roof.
Yeah, I think
10% of the world.
I'm on. Yeah, it's episode 24.
That was the special.
Yeah, I'll
So
tune
what-
in again if you're still here next week. Outstanding research. Keep them coming. We never did that research again. We just tapped up randomly about what stupid topics. We always
there
went
has
there.
there has been the threat of doing the Rothschild one.
Yeah, Jesus, it's crazy looking back on these old parts. I just clicked it, and I'm in my old little flat and stuff. Got my fish tank behind me. Oh, those fish are dead, or the shrimp died. Oh, it's sad. And we never did research again. We just put random stories in and chatted shit about it. How our content rotted.
Yeah, like I said, maybe you should do
It was
the
It was good to switch
Rothschilds.
it up as well.
It was.
It's a funny
It was-
one because at the time wasn't probably ready for it. But looking back, you're kind of going, yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of you all calling me conspiracy theorist and
When you're
putting on your-
indoctrinating us, making us send naked pictures to you.
we did that one, and it's just it's not even a conspiracy anyone knows to say, oh, you're a tinfoil hat person. You just go, well, it's literally titled Follow the Money. And that's all that episode does. It slowly but surely follows the money through the various chains of like from the printing machine down. And everything just flows back up to BlackRock. And then you go, oh, how did they get all this
you
power?
made us watch a film as well for that one.
Yeah, because it's like a 40-minute film, and it was fantastic. Like,
You have to reshare that because I'd like to watch that again.
Yeah.
Considering we're what is it, 3 years down the line from there.
yeah, well,
And a hell of a lot deeper as well.
Yeah, we share it on the Signal group. But kind of going back to this, like I said, I think we should try and do the Rothschild, but like I said, I think it's quite a hard agenda. Well, we are always reliant upon you for the agenda. But for Rothschild, it would be interesting to kind of like do a similar one for that because that is, well, it's pretty much the same story, isn't it? But it's taking it a level deeper.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
And
do
we
it.
probably get the show cancelled then, well and truly.
Well, it won't get aired. It'll be shadow banned.
So should we move on to why Trump was late for Bitcoin 2024?
so
My first question about this, I read it and I went, is this actually true? Or is this just some nerd's funny story?
I'm pretty sure it's been out for like 2 weeks now. I haven't seen anyone call bollocks on it, so I assume it is correct, and this person is telling the truth.
Okay.
I don't know, but I assume he's telling the truth. Do you want to tell us what his little story is?
So it's a fairly long story about the fact that he went out to an exit, then came back in for an exit and caused a security alert, which stopped Donald Trump because obviously security doesn't want to get shot again, and so he was late for the show. But it's I I suppose it's got the Secret Service. He tries to orange pill them, and they go back to his hotel and want to check all his stuff. And like a Bitcoiner, I think he's set up very strangely, living out of the suitcase, nothing hung up. So I think it smelled a bit fishy, didn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of scary because it's like this is obviously the Secret Service actually doing their job, right? They're looking for things that are unusual, and you've got a guy that entered through the exit, close to where Trump was, and he just gets flagged and looks like potentially acting a little bit dodgy. So they just grab him and they just want to go, who you here with, and obviously Bitcoin is we are weird. So it's like, well, I'm here on my own. You're like, that doesn't make sense. Why did you go to a conference on your own? It's like, I'm a Bitcoin. Like my brothers are here.
I'm not here. Yeah, I'm not alone. Yeah.
I am with my brothers. I am with my fellow Bitcoiners. I'm technically alone. And it's like, where's your wife or girlfriend? It's like, bro, I'm a Bitcoiner. I don't have any of them. Like, and then obviously, you go back to his place, and it's like, again, a little bit basic, and and they're just going, this isn't quite adding up, and obviously they go, look, we just need to verify this person's acting unusual. We're not going to throw him out on stage until we've just verified that this person who is acting strange, are there more of him that we haven't found, and there's someone with a gun somewhere, or they're going to do something. Let's just make sure. And so that I think, because hence, like, Trump was an hour late, wasn't he, coming on? And weirdly, I think it was this guy that even said he'd been late. He was late by 15 minutes, which sounds like that's how late Trump was going to be. But then he starts walking around and being weird, and he again gets followed and gets called over. He seems to have taken it quite lightly, but at any time, if he said the wrong thing, he could have been arrested, shot, all sorts. So I would get very, very nervous every time I'm around these kind of guys, because they're all armed, and you're around someone with a gun, they make the wrong call, you're dead, because we know these guys don't shoot to. It's not like the films; they don't shoot in the leg.
No.
They empty the mag in your chest, right? So, and at the moment they think you are a potential terrorist threat. That's why they have grabbed you. So
especially on a heightened one. Yeah.
If you say a joke or make the wrong move, that could be your last action, right? And so obviously,
I want to give a little shout out, by the way, to a guy called Spartacus Hodl. Remember who he follows you. I think you follow him as well, maybe, on Twitter. But we met at a conference and he was there by himself, and I'm sure he went to Nashville as well.
And you were there by yourself?
No, when I went to Amsterdam, he was there, but I went with work. But he was there by himself. But I know that he went out the following year.
Did you take anyone from your company?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. But he didn't. But he was going out to what was then Miami by himself. And I'm sure he probably went to Nashville this year by himself. But he wasn't by himself.
We are all Satoshi.
Yeah. He was a good guy.
That's the thing, like, Bitcoiners just tend to be. Like, once you get this stuff, like, you're almost definitely going to have other things in common.
Yeah.
What, like steak, exercise, family, wanting to own a farm?
Yeah. and like, just such a big part of like we discussed right at the beginning, like, so many people want to talk about what side they're on in politics or whatever, and it's just nice to go, bollocks, isn't it? You're like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, finally.
Yeah.
I've met a random dude at this event, and instantly 99% of the people I know would not have said that. And everybody in this room would say the same. Like, you're like, oh wow, this is my kindred spirits, like, straight away we have 99% more in common than I do with the average NPC out in the street, because they will all go, oh yeah, it's bollocks, but I like this guy, he's different. No, that's what they want you to think. Like,
Yeah, it's like Trump turning up to the Bitcoin conference. I imagine that the majority of the room were just like, yeah, he's just trying to get votes, isn't he? I don't really give a shit unless you are following me. Edward Snowden is like, vote who you think's best, but don't follow the cult.
Yeah, they're all the same. It's the corrupt system. Yeah. Anyway, talking about corrupt systems, we got the next story. Fucking, I don't know why I even put this in. Michael Sayer just tweeted that Morgan Stanley now allow their customers to buy the Bitcoin ETF. So it's one of the
Oh,
first
it's just another
major Wall
platform.
Street banks.
But isn't this what's his name, the one who has a pet rock?
Oh, is it Jamie Dimon?
Yeah, isn't Jamie
Oh,
Dimon?
yes. Yeah, it is the fucking hell.
Yeah.
It is CEO is
It's fun.
Jamie Dimon.
Yeah, him who has a pet rock.
It's hilarious how, the amount of times he slugged off Bitcoin, and yet Morgan Stanley. No, he's JP Morgan.
Oh, is he? Who's Morgan Stanley CEO?
Probably some trans activist.
Ted Pick. Oh, CEO in 2024.
Yeah, who knows who that is? But I guess it is pretty big, right? So, Morgan Stanley are clearly one of the biggest banks, and because the thing is, like, with these ETFs, a lot of people, again what we said at the beginning, most people don't know how to do investing, and they will accidentally be buying ETF via a pension fund that they may be investing in, and they might have a 1 or 2% allocation, but they're not doing the allocations themselves. They're just in these big funds. And so what this does is actually go, you know what, the people that do investing, that do buy shares and can put money into their own funds, Morgan Stanley are going, yeah, we're going to make the Bitcoin ETF available to you as a high street bank. You don't just have to go to your stockbroker. We're going to bring it into the banking world.
But you
So
can't buy Bitcoin directly from an exchange.
I know.
Well, exactly.
Because that's
You
the
don't want
challenge
that
with
money going up.
pretty much every high street bank has stopped any kind of significant transfer to the exchanges. But you can buy it through the ETF.
Limited.
So,
Limited.
but yeah,
Yeah.
well, don't know. Stopped in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
The convoluted process I have to do just to buy my monthly little bit now because I can't do it from my main bank. So
Well, you have to send it to another one to send it out again.
Yeah.
Well, what's the limit on your bank then on a monthly basis?
Halifax has just stopped it.
Oh, to completely stop. You're not allowed to send to Coinbase or
Nope.
what is it, Gemini
Nope.
or Kraken?
So I have to send it into Revolut or Monzo, but even Monzo the other week blocked it, and so I just use Revolut for it now.
Wow.
They flagged it as a suspicious transaction or something like that, and I had to click into the app and approve it. And after that, I was like, "Fuck you guys! I'm just doing it through Revolut."
That's weird because they full well know the the Coinbase account, sort code and account number. So that's interesting. So I'm with Barclays and it's just under 10K.
So you can still transfer it out straight into thing. Yeah, I can't. Not through Halifax.
Yeah,
So I've never done it from HSBC Direct. Always do it through Revolut. Well, actually, I originally used to, and then I just moved it to Revolut rather than having any hassle when we start to get a bit tighter.
Well, Revolut are now a bank, so I wonder if they'll continue to do so.
Well, they're still letting you do the roundup, you change in Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff, and that you can buy Bitcoin through Revolut, almost like an exchange now. So
I bet they will actually be a bit more stringent moving forward because if they want to keep that UK banking license, I think they may have to play ball.
I mean,
and they may also go down the same route as everybody else because the FCA will obviously be on the side of the banks. And so if the banks all, and vice versa, of course, so if the banks all team up and be like, well, we're losing money because the money's going to the exchanges, put a bit of pressure on them, they'll have to follow suit.
You know what they do, won't you? At the moment on Revolut, it's not. I've stopped stacking on there now, and I don't do the spare change thing anymore, just because I was building up so much freaking Bitcoin in there, and the actual price that you get it for, and then the fees they charge, they're pretty fucking big.
Rogan,
I realized that this isn't actually economical. At some point I had like I think I had over a Bitcoin in my spare change account, and you just go, this is, and it took me forever to get it out. So it makes much more sense for me just to allow that money to build up in fiat somewhere else, and then just bulk buy Bitcoin at the end of the month, and just do it in one exchange, one transaction, as opposed to multiple transactions and get nailed every time. I still think when you're stacking and still trying to build up towards an amount, I think it's a great little life hack to do Revolut, and I did it for years and years. This is recently I've switched it off because I've just gone. I looked at the exchange rate and what the current price of Bitcoin is on their app, and then what the reality is against an exchange, and it was quite significantly different.
I don't think enough people do that yet. And again, it's because most people aren't really at that stage of looking at the arbitrage of Bitcoin and the pricing. But when you look across the various different exchanges, Gemini, Kraken, Coinbase, etc., you do see a huge fluctuation in the price offered to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And the ease of Revolut, therefore the ease is reflected in the price and the price that you're offered to buy Bitcoin through them.
I mean, I'm looking at it now. It's 45,377 on Revolut and 45,560 on Bitcoin. So yeah, if you're selling it, it's a bit less, but if you're buying it, it's cheaper.
Yeah, that's the spread. There's also fees,
Okay.
and then there's also withdrawal fees. Yeah,
I've not
who
really
knows?
done
I haven't
that,
done it
so.
for a couple of years, so I remember at the time I was like, for every like £1,000 worth of Bitcoin I'm buying, I'm probably losing 100 in
Yeah, the fees 1% on
yeah
Revolut.
yeah. And obviously I like, and to a certain extent, it was almost removing some of the fun that I like to do, which is
Yeah.
once a month just go, oh, I like just to put a random limit order on the price of Bitcoin and just let it sink a bit
Yes.
and go, let's like this is my like version of trading, like, oh, I want to go 2% below market price. Let's see if that hits today. And then the price will go up away from me, and then it will just suddenly dip at midday and I'll get filled. I'm like, you get a little buzz, like got it 2% cheaper, baby. Like that basically
Yeah.
covers all my fees, covers the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'd have just slammed by on that day at the price that I logged in at, then all the fees are real, right? But I just go, if I go 2% below the price though, and I get that, then technically I have getting all my Bitcoin for free. And the volatility during the day, by and large, it probably will fill your order, provided not on a bullish day. But yeah, what I was going to say actually is what I think will probably happen to Revolut, because to be fair to them, it's one of the few apps that when you start Bitcoin, when you go to press withdraw, the only option isn't just sell to fiat and have cash. You can
Yeah.
actually withdraw the Bitcoin to a real wallet.
Yeah.
What they'll change that to is, oh, we haven't bought the Bitcoin anymore. We've bought the BlackRock ETF. So there's no withdrawal now. You can sell to cash or keep your Bitcoin, but it's the Bitcoin ETF. That'll be what will change.
I mean, the day it does that will be the day I definitely stop. I quite like it because it makes me think about stuff before I buy it. I literally just wanted a bottle of water and I used Revolut for my spends, and the bottle of water was £1. And I was like, can you please charge me 99p for this bottle of water? Because I'm now paying £5 for this bottle of water.
So you've only got a 5x.
I've only 5x sticks. I'm a
I
pussy.
was going to say that bottle of water would cost me a tenner, I think.
Or 11 quid.
Yeah, 11
again, I was
quid.
on holiday and my brother's there, and every time he was saying it, we were doing like at the arcades, and we're doing like doing your contactless, getting
Yeah.
£10 out of the machine. He's like, that cost me 20. I'm like, what do you mean? I just stacked £10 of Bitcoin. It's like, do it again. 20 quid, do it again.
I've got the app on my phone so that I scan my shopping as I go around. And if I'm on an even number, like if the shop is £65, I will be like, I have to buy something that is less than £1.
Otherwise, it's going to cost me £75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful though. That is why I like it. You're stealing from your present self to
Yeah.
provide your future self.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'll stick with it because it does encourage me.
Yeah. I like it because I'm also buying Bitcoin every day without even really thinking about it, pretty much every day.
Yeah, I do need to move my stack off there because I was looking at then and it has accumulated.
This is actually, I just realized why I really stopped it. Why I stopped it is because I'm selling Bitcoin quite regularly, right? Because I'm all in on a Bitcoin standard. And because I was then selling Bitcoin to then fund like a Revolut app, I was then spending that fiat that was technically my Bitcoin sales and then stacking Bitcoin at a worse rate than I already had it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so
Yes.
intuitive now. When I was
Yes.
earning fiat, it makes sense to be forcing myself to overstack and like make myself feel poorer than I am because I'm buying more Bitcoin than I really would be comfortable with. But that's fantastic. But I'm selling Bitcoin to have fiat to then buy Bitcoin at a poor exchange rate. And then that means that then it's prompting me to sell more Bitcoin earlier to stack up my fiat. And I went, what the hell am I happening here?
It's a death spiral.
I'm selling a couple of grand worth of Bitcoin every month to like fund my lifestyle. I'm spending about £500 a month on buying Bitcoin again at a worse rate. Like, I just need to stop that bit because it's making me sell more Bitcoin, ironically, because I'm buying more Bitcoin, but I'm just incurring more fees and all these spread. It doesn't make sense. Once you're on a Bitcoin standard, it doesn't make sense to like stack Bitcoin with every fiat buy you do. Like, you just want to make sure your fiat buys are as low as possible so you don't have to sell more Bitcoin. But yeah, it's a unique situation I'm in. For everyone else, 10x your spare change on Revolut.
Just keep buying.
It's a life changer.
So good. I genuinely and like you say, I do not want to touch a sat in my wallet right now. But it's there as an emergency if I needed to do something without selling Bitcoin that I even think of being as my Bitcoin. That's why I quite like it.
So what would that be like? Emergency Starbucks?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If I'm £5.75 short, that's the one thing. Like, so again, like it makes me think when I buy a coffee. I've been way better with that. I was in the top 1% of people on Monzo that spent money at Starbucks last year. I was like, that needs to change. I worked out how much I spent at Starbucks, and it was naughty.
What's your target now? When that annual review comes this year, what's your target?
I don't want it to even show on it. I don't want it to be a thing because I was at least one a day, sometimes two a day. It's a lot.
What you're at now?
Oh, like once a week.
Okay.
After the gym on a Thursday or a Friday is a treat. Although maybe twice.
Is it a coffee
or
is it a dessert?
I heard him today. I heard him today on it.
I had one today, but that was my first one this week, and we're on Tuesday.
Tuesday is the second day of the week. And you just said you only have Starbucks on Thursday or Friday after the gym, and you've already had one.
Yeah,
I was on the phone. I heard him too.
But that will be it.
This is Starbucks Anonymous. We need you to say, "Hi, I'm Mrs. No Show, and I have a problem."
I'm Mrs. No Show. I have a problem, but last week I had two. So
what's your coffee of choice?
I'm not telling
it's
you.
caramel, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, just sugar
so it's
water.
not even a bloody caramel macchiato, isn't it?
Just diabetes in a fucking cup.
So let's go. Let's just dig into this. So Starbucks.
Oh, I know how many calories are in it because I log it.
No, he's gonna tell you how much you've spent over the year.
Oh, I know how much
to be in the top 1%.
It's 5-7. Well, yeah. Like, so what? No, I worked out how much I spent. It was a lot.
It's about what? It's about 1,500 quid if I'm quick enough.
Just under 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and is it 217 calories per coffee?
268 calories for the one that I have.
Jesus.
Well, I'm on a 1,700 calorie a day limit, so I factor into that. It's all good.
There's
Should
some
just drink
shitty
black
calories.
coffee. Drink some black, yeah, shitty calories. Well, I suppose it depends. Dairy's not actually that bad for you. It's when it's
Sugar
just
is
sugar.
most of that.
Yeah.
Sugar is
But
most.
You
yeah, the
gotta die
sugar is the
something.
bad bit.
That's just if that cup was like showed you the raw ingredients, it would just be half stacked with sugar, and then they put
So
a bit of milk and a bit of caramel.
it's espresso, steamed semi
Three,
skim
two
milk,
or three
caramel
espressos.
drizzle, and vanilla syrup.
It's beautiful.
I'm sure it is. No,
But
the
anyway.
nice something taste normally is the worst it is for you, other than steak.
If that's the worst thing that I do with my life, then I'm pretty sure I'm all right.
Should we move on to the last story? What level
It's not
are you?
Starbucks.
Yeah, we've gone to fiat. Now, should we get back to Bitcoin? So the last one is a little fun story. Which level
Mr.
are you?
Orlin needs to kick in on one of his habits because we've been round the pod basically, from property to share save to Starbucks.
Ooh,
He has no weaknesses.
what's my bad habit? I don't even know.
Probably eats eggs or something high cholesterol. Do you remember when eggs were bad for you?
That's the 70s.
Yeah.
But then
I
the
know it
stigma
made a
stuck
comeback
around.
in like the 90s.
No, the stigma just hung around like a dark cloud. Eggs were as bad as smoking, which came from the 70s. I've been reading the what's
Probably
it called? Fiat Food, which which Safedine
That's the vice.
published in his publishing house, and it goes on about the whole egg debacle. But anyway, so what level are you? 1 through to 6. So, Mr. All, I don't think I need to ask you. So, never look. Where are you?
I think we're all down here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're all 6.
I mean, technically, unless he sold.
Oh.
No, I'm 5.
No, but
Have you got a bit of this shit?
No, I've still got my ETH actually. I'm 4.
Oh God, you're level 4.
I'm level 4.
dirty bastard.
Technically, up to you with 10% is 4 as well, because you've still got some XRP sitting on exchange somewhere that you can't sell.
I sold it. I bought Bitcoin. I can't get the Bitcoin off that exchange.
They let you sell the XRP,
I've got,
but they kept the Bitcoin.
a couple hundred quid.
I don't know if anyone else heard that.
That was glitchy.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I've got a couple hundred quid of Bitcoin on an exchange.
I think he said something about stick dicks when it went glitchy.
I was going to say that doesn't count. That's separate. That's separate. That's art.
I've always said,
that a couple of hundred quid was it a couple of hundred quid at the time? Because now it's probably a couple of grand. Was it like 50 quid at the time, and now you're like,
yeah, it was like 50 quid. And when I moved it to Bitcoin in 2021, when I realized I still had it, I think it ended up being 150 quid or something like that. So 200, 250. But I've even forgotten where it is again. I'd have to try and search where the hell I bought this XRP, then have Bitcoin, then the Bitcoin. But yeah, the only other coin which you could say I hold is some dust on my Coinbase account. And then some BAT on my phone for the Brave browser. But yeah, I sold my Ethereum. I think when we did a story about how they dealt with that hack by pretty much reversing the transactions. That's when I sold it. When I went, oh God, I need to get rid of this. And the XRP, I think I literally just remembered that I had it, and I somehow managed to track it down, and then I couldn't get off the bloody exchange.
I've already said that I'm going to be coming out of one shitcoin and going into another Ponzi scheme, which is a Rolex watch with my shitcoin upon getting the call. because I have a habit that I cannot stop.
One shitcoin to another shitcoin.
Yeah.
At least that's not on the list, so technically you can then just. I think in reality, I think that little list of like 1 to 6 it's relatively okay, relatively accurate. I think, yeah. Bitcoin's a cryptocurrency. I'm too late. going to do a bit of shit coining, and then eventually become Bitcoin maxi, then we're fixing the world. It's not just, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi for the sake of that's a good investment. It's, I'm here for the revolution now. I think literally, I mean, on us group here, like literally about 3 months into doing this pod, we were all straight to level 6. But
Did you see the comment below? Level 7. I lost it all in a boating accident.
yeah. Yeah, I think there are levels potentially below it, but yeah, I mean once you're here for the revolution, you're done. That's it. There's a whole load of like there's a new rabbit hole to go down. Once you realize that, and that's still what I'm exploring now, where you go, oh wow, what next? Oh yeah, you need to be self-sustainable and da da da. You know, another thing, right? You know, I told you it's only super quick, but you know the solar panels like story I told you.
Oh,
Yeah.
They called me back. I went, why didn't you go with it? I went, because it doesn't do what I want it to do. I want to be self-sustainable and I want to be off grid. And they just reconfirmed on the phone, that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to be off
Don't
grid.
understand why it's illegal.
Well,
Because they want you to on the grid.
we fucking know why, right? There's no rational reason why they wouldn't, because obviously they keep saying how there's hardly any energy and da 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 da. And then people like me go, you know what? I'll go off grid. I won't be a drain. Let me spend the money on as many solar panels as I can to be self-reliant throughout the entire year. They don't let me. They'll let you go up to 40 to 50% of your annual usage, then you get capped. You have to be dependent on the grid. And like I said, even when you have energy stored in your own batteries from your solar, when there is a power outage in your area, your solar panels will automatically switch off as well.
There'll be
Giving
a
a
way
power.
of putting a fix in for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to budget. You have to basically jailbreak your own solar system to not switch off during a power cut because even though it has energy in the fucking battery that's sat there, and who knows what's going on in your house, right? You know, you could have a whole host of things, but they're going, no, 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 we don't want these people to be too different to everyone else that is completely dependent on the grid. So switch them off as well. And you basically are breaking the rules by switching off this breaker, which creates power cuts for you artificially because the energy is sat there, but the rest of your local area are down, so they switch you down. And it just yet again compounded me. And they called me back again and went, oh, we'll give you 20% off. I'm like, just so you know, this isn't a freaking, I'm not doing, this isn't, I always love it when I'm just like totally out of a sales process and the salesperson's like, all right, we'll just discount it. I'm like, it's, you just know, you could say it's free and I wouldn't take it, right? It's just, it's nonsense, right? It's just going to clutter up my place and it's not going to do anything meaningful for me. Unless you can give me 100% reliance off the grid, I'm not interested. And the guy's like, it's illegal to do that in the UK. You're not allowed to do it. I'm like, why? And he just went, because the grid have a stranglehold on energy in the UK. I'm like, well, thanks for being honest. But holy shit. Like, so even though this greenwashing and like, them going, oh, you know, we can't be burning fossil fuels, someone like me, right, who doesn't believe in all that bollocks, is going, I'll basically reduce my carbon footprint to 0 for the rest of my life, pretty much, by going off grid. One time hit, shove solar all over my property. You never hear from me again. Nope, sir, that is illegal. How dare you? Are you a racist? What the? Where did that come from? I'm on your side. Hold on, I'm part of. I'm pretending to believe in climate change for a minute here. How did I still become a racist? Like, no matter what I do, I'm a racist. I'm like, no, you're only allowed to be 50% believe in climate change. The other 50% burn the shit out of the fossil fuels and just trust us that it's clean energy that end. I'm like, can't I have it all clean at my end? No. Illegal, sir.
That's mad.
I would love to see the politicians stand up there and defend that policy because I honestly don't think if I tried to steel man their position, I honestly don't know what the justification is.
But they're saying online that it may turn off in a power cut, so they don't electrocute engineers working on nearby problems.
Wonderful. You've got an isolated
So
grid.
now you're endangering
What?
lives, you racist.
Imagine there's an engineer. Imagine there's an electrician working in my house, right? What's the first thing he's going to do? Switch
Turn
off the
off.
fucking power, you morons.
Yeah.
So whether there's a power cut or not, he's not going to.
Yeah,
It's not going to
you'd
be alive
isolate a line.
circuitry.
You would isolate a line because I imagine they're between two kind of like point stations or whatever you want to call it. So literally, they go this bit is turned off. So
Just
yeah,
clown
it wouldn't
work.
affect.
Just clown. I love that explanation because it's slightly plausible, but completely bollocks.
I just want to look back on the various different levels, right? And have you guys come across Luke Belmar? So he was born in Argentina and then he went to the US and he made a load of money in both Bitcoin and crypto. But he did so knowingly so that he could just get out and be off grid. And I've watched a couple of interviews with him. He's a young guy, I think less than like 27, maybe 28 or so. And he, like I said, he's done it knowing that he has no belief in the shit coins that he was doing it with, as well as Bitcoin. And I was just like, okay, I respect what you've done knowingly and openly, but is that an option? I mean, we're all trying to do it the clean way. So we're all saying,
you're saying is
going,
going down to the shitcoin casino an option? I think it's the same as when we talk about shares. It's very hard to actually pick winners. So, like with the shitcoin casino, you think there's actually no logic behind it. It's pretty much what's the popularity. I think if you could pick out a surefire way of actually doing it, then yeah, because it removes it from gambling. But you'd have to work out how is a way to do it, which is going to be measured and is calculated. Because everyone who I know apparently is up from shitcoin gambling. But you know, we all know what happens to people who play on fruity machines too much. But I think with shitcoins, it is yeah. If you could work out a way which is measured, maybe it's using AI to look at social media use and highlighting what ones are big right now. I mean, you can trade in and out. Maybe it's a way to do it.
he made a lot of money on Pancake Swap.
Yeah, congrats. I made a load of money playing roulette once. I just put it on number 32 because I quite like the high numbers in roulette. It came in once. I wouldn't advise anyone to put money on 32. No. Yeah. If you want to roll the dice on various speculative assets, then good luck. Provided, like, I think, provided the end goal is to stack more Bitcoin at the end, then you're not on the wrong path. So when you end up on the wrong path is when you start believing in the shitcoin and you end up holding that over Bitcoin and going, this could, over the long term, this has more value than Bitcoin. You've got to make sure you realize that these shitcoins are, you need to be in and out in months. And if the second you start going,
don't
oh no, I
continue to
really
hold
like
my
the
shitcoin.
founder, I like the mission. No, now you've gone down shitcoin path where you're going to get wrecked. Yeah, and you're going to hold that asset all the way to the fucking toilet. So you get in, you get out. And if you end up doing well, congrats, stack more Bitcoin. But in all of our experiences, I would guess that, you know, I like a gamble just, you know, probably more than the next person. I make sure I limit that. I see it as spending. I don't see it as investing. It's entertainment. Fine, do it. But I do not look at that as a viable investment strategy to help me stack more Bitcoin. It is actually the exact opposite. It's an expense. I would see it as an expense.
Yeah.
And if you come out of it up, then whenever I walk into a casino, right, I'll have an allocation of money and go, these are my spends for the night. If I walk out of zero, it just means I've had a good time, and that was how much the entertainment cost me. If I come out with more than zero, bonus. But I do not assume a profit. It's like, I'm coming in, going to spend 5 hours in here, going to spend this amount of money.
Yeah.
When it's gone, it's gone. You know, and if I'm up, I'm up. But that's the same I would do with shitcoins, right? Treat it as fun, treat it as a
Yeah.
little bit of a game, but never deviate from, because once you start into getting into those projects too deep and you start looking at the founders of the coins and they will all flex and go, this is better than Bitcoin, the gains are better than Bitcoin. Once you start buying into that and you start holding it for a number of years, now you're falling off the wagon.
Yeah.
So don't. It's a dangerous game to play, but provided you're well enough informed about Bitcoin, then maybe it's okay, but I wouldn't advise it.
I will transparently say I've bought no more since 2017.
Yeah.
It's the same one that I've had, and 4x up.
But you say that, but like probably over that time period, I'm sure Bitcoin is. I know in that time period, Bitcoin's outperformed Ethereum, so you're technically down.
Yeah,
Because if you'd
by
have put that,
1500.
yeah, if you'd have put it into Bitcoin instead of Ethereum, you would be up more.
Yeah,
So you are down on your investment. Obviously, compared to fiat, outperforming fiat is like
yeah.
outperforming a horse with one leg. Yeah, so I could fucking crawl on my ass faster than that. So, but compare any gains to Bitcoin gains, and then suddenly you realize I'm actually down.
Yeah. Well, as we know, there's not any other asset that would have helped or done any better. So, without further ado, I'll take us out. This was Pod 151, brought to you by Mr. All-In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and Mrs. No Show, aka No Show. Peace.